What's up, you guys? You got Shempy. I'm bringing you this rivalry video in NCAA 2011. Decided on the Iron Bowl after looking at a lot of the voting. I'm still going to do a lot of different games, so look forward to those in the future. But playing as Auburn here, as Auburn is technically the underdog in this game, wasn't sure quite what to do because Alabama is so overpowered in this game. They have two amazing running backs in Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson. And then they have Greg McElroy, who's a very suitable quarterback. And I wanted to keep in mind a little bit that Auburn's defense was their weakness this year, if they had one. And that's even more so in this game. Nick Fairley, I think, is the second string. He's not rated too high. And then on the other end, Cam Newton is not very highly rated. I think he's in the low 80s. But that's what you get with a game that can't really update their rosters because they don't have the rights to the player names and player attributes technically. But making a great stand here on defense, Mark Ingram is nowhere to go. He fumbles the ball. They will pick it back up and get a pretty easy field goal here, but pretty much relying on this bend but don't break philosophy, and they will miss the field goal. See, that's what you get with this kind of defense. Giving up a couple of big plays early in the drive, but able to come back and make them miss a field goal. Running a little bit with Cam Newton here. He doesn't have amazing speed in the game, but he can make some big time plays, and playing on Heisman difficulty here, that's going to be extremely important, getting outside of the pocket and making some plays with my feet, but not a whole lot of room to work with here. Running around stupidly, chucking it downfield, and nothing really working there. Trying to run the option a little bit here. Cam Newton is so dangerous and he breaks a lot of tackles. Unfortunately, I could not get the pitch off there. I had two quick hits and was not able to get the ball out of my hands. So the ball was back in Alabama's hands, and once again they are going deep downfield. Too many holes in this defense. I'm not really sure what to do. But in other news, if you hadn't heard, it is my birthday, and Mancake and I have been extremely busy the past few weeks. We are very sorry about that. Hopefully going to pick up the videos a little bit more here in the future. But we just want to thank you guys for being patient, and we know that everyone else is probably getting a little busy also. But you see my Auburn team relying a little bit more on that bend but don't break philosophy. This time they get the long field goal, and I'm on the offensive end once again. I'm going to tell you straight up, I do not do a very good job on offense this game. Wasn't really sure who to get the ball to, and outside of Cam Newton, and I did have a star running back who wasn't even the starting running back this year. Michael Dyer was the starter, and he did a great job filling in and just providing a little bit of offense, and really a pretty pleasant surprise, I'm sure, for this Auburn team. But the offensive struggles will continue while relying a little bit too much on Cam Newton's feet, getting out of the pocket and running around trying to make something happen. But I gotta start sitting in the pocket and making the throws. Cam Newton has a very strong arm, and though it's not always completely accurate, he does a pretty good job and went #1 overall in the draft, so there must be something there. Gotta keep trying to do what I can do with Cam Newton. But McElroy has basically an infinite supply of time in the pocket, but you will see Stevens here coming up big time. He's a senior linebacker. Got in a little bit of trouble early in the season. I think missed the first couple games. But you will see some big plays out of him in this game, and look forward to that later in the video. But Mark Ingram is starting to wake up a little bit. He had that early fumble, and now is breaking some tackles and doing what he does when he won the Heisman. And that's just getting away from players, following his blocks really well, and just being a very solid all-around running back. They have another guy back here, Trent Richardson, who's breaking a few tackles of his own. Gets a solid 4-yard gain on first down. And then we've got the game-changing play. Greg McElroy, for whatever reason, decides to keep it on that read option play. Nothing really going on. He had an opening, but he just did not have the speed or ability as a quarterback to make those kind of plays. So McElroy with his first turnover, and actually doing it on the defensive end. As you can see, I'm using Nick Fairley here, and Mark Ingram can just knock it away from these tackles, getting him in the backfield, which has been so difficult all year. And once again, some more great defense by the line. And then Stevens fills in and makes a great tackle on Mark Ingram in the backfield. But I see the screen play and a little bit of a dangerous pass there. I was covering the screen very well, but sometimes things open up outside of that, and once again just doing a terrible job with Cam Newton. I'm running around a little bit too much. In this game he only has about an 80 speed, which was highly undervalued, I must say. But I thought I had a little bit of mismatch here as I try to go to my speedy running back, who was not very open, but I thought he might be able to break away from the linebacker in coverage. Get it to him here on 3rd and 28, which is not going to be an easy thing to get, but he does get a couple yards. Makes a solid play to get us in a little bit better position to punt. And from that last play, you can see that Alabama opted to just run out the clock for halftime. But now I'm still not getting much time in the pocket and forced to make some very quick throws here. A couple of drops, which is pretty unfortunate. Something you don't really want to have, especially when Cam Newton is throwing it right on the money. But this time, Burns finds an opening on an all-streaks play and makes the catch. We finally got a little bit of offense rolling. And going to McCaleb, the running back, who wasn't the starter necessarily this year, but he does have that star, so that does say a little bit about what they can do. And sometimes you see star players breaking tackles for no reason, but getting flushed out of the pocket right there. You can see this is actually a decent job of feeling the pressure and finding the open man. You can see a lot of the linebackers were drawn to the side that I was running to, and that left an opening for the wide receiver. But once again, trying to get these wide receivers open, and not much separation from these defensive backs out of Alabama, but trying to run a little bit with Cam Newton. Get a solid gain on the play, but still faced with a 3rd down now. Now I'm running this play that I love to run on a 3rd and short situation. It's a play where the wide receiver comes across and just sits in the pocket, and it usually works for either a zone coverage or a man coverage, as it's often over pursued in man and then just finds the opening in the zone coverage when there's a zone. But now put in this 3rd and long situation as my man couldn't make the catch inbounds, but finding the man who likes to do everything. I'm sorry if I butcher his name. Philip Lutzenkirchen. And from what I could tell from all the pregame before the national championship, this guy does everything for this team. He plays a little bit of tight end, a little bit of fullback, and just makes a lot of big plays. But once again, going downfield, Greg McElroy finds his receiver. I'm still struggling to figure out what kind of defense I should run against this Alabama team. As you can see, I was running a man offense here. I don't know how a guy gets that open on man coverage, but it's something I definitely have to take into account, and I definitely don't like running zones too often because they are pretty ineffective. But when you don't have the matchups that you want, and when you have a team like Auburn that doesn't quite have the defensive backs to match up with the wide receivers out of Alabama, it's something you've got to run and try to compensate for. This is one of the more impressive throws you see out of Cam Newton, running the opposite direction and throwing off of his back foot to the wide receiver downfield a little bit, picking up that 1st down and trying to keep Alabama off the field, at least for now. But you see this defensive lineman dropping back into coverage a little bit, and they still make the crazy plays, much like many of the linebackers have in the past. Trying to get McCaleb in space, which worked so well in the last video with the screenplay, but nothing really doing there, and then missing my man wide open. That is definitely going to hurt as Trent Richardson goes to work a little bit, fumbles the ball on the punt return, but it will be overturned, unfortunately. That would have been a big time play to put us up by a couple of scores, and jumping off sides on this play, tried to get a jump on the snap, but unsuccessfully. Now trying to run the ball on a draw play here with Mark Ingram. He'll pick that up and get the easy 1st down. Now McElroy once again looking deep. It's the 4th quarter. They got to make some plays, and this wide receiver's breaking a couple of tackles. Went for the forced fumble there, but wasn't too successful with that. It won't matter though, because Craig Stevens is there to make the play off of the poor pass by Greg McElroy. Got hit as he threw, but no one's gonna catch Stevens as he stomps his way into the end zone. Auburn touchdown, doing it all on the defensive end. That is not quite what I expected out of this team. I wanted to do a little bit of offense, or I guess a lot of offense, to keep up with this Alabama team, but the defense is stepping up big time. Now with an 11-point lead, they're running the ball with McElroy once again. Didn't work too well last time when he fumbled, but getting the 1st down on that play and injuring one of my key, I think, safety or cornerbacks. Now just trying to make the big plays and make the tackles so we can keep the clock running, and either force them into a hurry-up mode or make them use some timeouts. But once again, McElroy finds a little bit of space, but he's taking a couple of shots to the head, and I know eventually that's got to get to him. And a little false start here is definitely not going to help the cause for this Alabama team. But they're going to go back to a screenplay, which has not worked at all this game. Get him right as he throws it, causes the fumble on Mark Ingram, his 2nd one of the game. And now 3rd and 11 here, running the screenplay once again, too much pressure. All the linemen go out to block for the running back, and I tried to cover the running back a little bit, so that caused a little too much aggravation. But McElroy will make up for it on 4th down, getting that 4th and long situation, making a few more nice throws here. They've got to start to make something happen with only 2.5 minutes left here in the 4th quarter. McElroy goes for the nice throw there, and a couple of broken tackles by that wide receiver. They're doing a great job keeping us off balance, but not a great pass there by McElroy. Sometimes the slant plays, for whatever reason, go way over the heads of the wide receivers. But McElroy, with time in the pocket, looking downfield and finding Julio Jones, who was coming back a little bit and didn't pick up too many yards on the play. So now on a 3rd and long, looking downfield for real this time, and look who it is, Craig Stevens getting a big interception in the end zone, which allows us to run a little bit of time off the clock and a couple of timeouts from Alabama. You can never count this Alabama Crimson Tide out, and with the defense of Auburn, definitely can't count him out. Give him the big hit though. Even though he was wide open, it's still good to get a big hit on him. And a slightly flustered McElroy throws another ball, and look who it is. Once again, Craig Stevens gets another pick six. Love to see it out of the senior linebacker, coming up in a big way and definitely sealing the victory for us. Now, I decided to hold the game at the Orange Bowl because I just didn't want too much home field advantage for us, either team. I know the game is usually played either at Auburn or Alabama Stadium, but Heisman mode at times likes to cheese, and I thought this would be the best way to get a halfway realistic game. And little did I know I would blow out Alabama with a highly underrated Auburn team. But once again, just poor use of the screenplay. It's so easy to pick apart when the other team runs it. But excited to get the victory against a really good Alabama team and give some justice to this game, which is often a great game every single year. One of the biggest comebacks I saw actually last year was this Auburn team coming back from 24 down to Alabama. I actually stopped watching the game for a while because I thought it was over in the 1st quarter. But Auburn did make a great comeback in one of the better games I saw last year. But you can see Cam Newton doing a very okay job, I guess, throwing only 55% completions. But he having a decent quarterback rating, and Greg McElroy actually had a decent game yardage-wise, but 4 interceptions and a fumble that went for a touchdown. So keep the good rivalries coming. I think the next one I'm going to do is going to be Ohio State versus Michigan. One of my favorite games, being from the Midwest and being a huge fan of one of the teams. I'm sure you can guess which one if you followed us at all. But I'm going to try to take an unbiased approach to that game and look forward to that in the next rivalry video. But other than that, I'm happy to get the win and happy to celebrate my birthday here. But I've been having fun watching these NBA playoffs, and I'm probably going to do a little bit more of that tonight. Other than that, hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you have a great night. See ya!